Dear students, today we are going to discuss sustainable development and the role of United Nations. As you know, United Nations plays a central role in promoting sustainable development globally. Established in 1945, the UN serves as a principal international organization committed to maintain peace and security, to promote human rights, and to promote cooperation among nations. In the realm of sustainable development, the UN has been instrumental in setting global agendas, facilitating international cooperation, and implementing initiatives to address pressing global challenges. Through various agencies, programs, and initiatives, the UN works to advance sustainable development goals such as poverty alleviation, environmental conservation, social equity, and economic development. Dear students, first we will try to understand what is sustainable development. Sustainable development is basically a concept that emphasizes on meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So, this sustainable development uh, tries to find out a balanced approach between economic growth, social progress, and environmental protection. So, to ensure that development today does not come at the expense of the well being of future generations. In other words, the concept of sustainable development focused attention on finding strategies to promote economic and social development without causing environmental degradation or exploitation or pollution to the environment. Dear students, there are some key components of this sustainable development. First component is economic sustainability. Economic sustainability focuses on creating prosperity and improving the quality of life for all people while ensuring that resources are used efficiently and responsibly. It involves promoting inclusive growth, promoting innovation, and managing resources in a way that supports long term economic health. Another component of sustainable development is social sustainability. Social sustainability focuses on equity, justice, and the well being of communities and individuals. It entails ensuring that basic human rights are respected. It promotes social cohesion and tries to address issues like poverty, inequality, and access to education and healthcare. Social sustainability also involves promoting inclusive societies where everyone has the opportunity to, thrive itself to develop himself. Another component of this sustainable development is environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability revolves around protecting natural resources and ecosystems, minimizing pollution and wastage, and mitigating climate change. It requires adopting sustainable practices in areas such as energy protection, energy production, transportation, agriculture, and urban planning to reduce our ecological footprint and preserve the planet's natural biodiversity and natural beauty. Dear students, now we are going to discuss the key principles of sustainable development. Sustainable development recognizes the interconnectedness of environmental, social, and economic systems. It acknowledges that actions taken in one area can have effects on other areas as well. For example, unsustainable agricultural practices can lead to soil degradation, can lead to water pollution, and also loss of biodiversity, so impacting both ecosystems and human communities. Therefore, sustainable development seeks to address these interconnected challenges through integrated approaches that consider the interconnectedness of these various systems. Another principle is equity and social justice. Equity is a fundamental principle of sustainable development, emphasizing fair distribution of resources, opportunities, and benefits across the society. It recognizes that certain groups, such as marginalized communities, indigenous people, and future generations, may be disproportionately affected by environmental degradation and social inequalities. Sustainable development seeks to promote social justice by addressing these inequalities, by promoting inclusivity, and ensuring that all individuals have access to basic human rights such as clean water, education, healthcare, and a safe and clean environment. Another principle of this sustainable development is long term thinking and planning. Sustainable development takes a long term perspective, prioritizing the well being of both present and future generations. It emphasizes the importance of responsible stewardship of resources to ensure their availability and quality for future use. This principle involves considering the potential impact of current actions on future generations and adopting strategies that promote resilience, adaptability, and sustainability over a period of time. For example, sustainable land use planning aims to balance immediate development needs with the preservation of natural ecosystems and resources for future generations. Precautionary approach. The precautionary principle is a key principle of sustainable development. It advocates for cautious in the face of uncertainty and potential risks to the environment and human health. It suggests that lack of scientific certainty should not be used as a justification for inaction when there are potential threats to the environment or public health. Instead, decision makers should take proactive measures to prevent harm even in the absence of conclusive evidence. For instance, the precautionary principle guides policies on genetically modified organisms, while regulatory frameworks prioritize safety and environmental protection. Sustainable development also seeks to balance environmental conservation, economic growth, and social well being to achieve holistic and equitable outcomes. It emphasizes the need to integrate environmental considerations into economic decision making processes and social policies. This integration involves recognizing the value of natural capital, such as clean air, water, biodiversity, and incorporating these values into economic and development strategies. For example, sustainable business practices aim to minimize negative environment impacts while generating economic value and supporting social welfare. Sustainable development also encourages participatory decision making processes and collaboration among stakeholders. including governments, businesses, civil society organizations, communities, and individuals. It recognizes that addressing complex sustainability challenges requires collective action, shared responsibility, and inclusive governance structures. Participatory approaches ensure that diverse perspectives are considered, local knowledge is valued, and solutions are found to the specific needs and contexts of communities. Collaboration among stakeholders promote innovation. It builds trust and enhances the effectiveness and legitimacy of sustainable development initiatives. For example, multi stakeholder partnerships bring together governments, businesses, civil society organizations to address shared sustainability goals, such as promoting renewable energy or improving access to clean water and sanitation. So, by adhering to these principles, sustainable development seeks to promote a harmonious relationship between society, economy, and the environment. Therefore, promotes well-being, resilience, and prosperity for present and future generations. So, dear students, we can say sustainable development is about creating a better future for all by balancing economic development, social equality, and environmental protection. It requires cooperation, collaboration among governments, businesses, communities, and individuals to address the complex challenges facing our planet and ensure a sustainable and prosperous future for generations to come. Dear students, now we are going to have a look at the importance of sustainable development. As you know that sustainable development is of great importance in today's world due to its potential to address pressing global challenges while ensuring a better future for all. Some of the reasons why sustainable development is important are like preservation of resources. Means sustainable development emphasizes the responsible use and preservation of natural resources like water, air, forests, minerals. By managing resources sustainably, we can ensure their availability for future generations. For example, sustainable forestry practices involve replanting trees and protecting biodiversity to maintain healthy ecosystems and to provide a continuous supply of timber. This sustainable development also plays an important role in mitigating environmental degradation and combating climate change. By promoting renewable energy resources, it tries to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and tries to implement eco friendly technologies. So, by these things, we can minimize our ecological footprint and preserve the planet's ecosystems. For instance, transitioning to clean energy sources like solar and wind power helps us to reduce air pollution and mitigate the impacts of climate change. This sustainable development also aims to create a more equitable and inclusive society where everyone has access to basic needs such as clean water, food, shelter, healthcare, and education. By addressing these issues of poverty, inequality, and social injustice, sustainable development helps to improve the quality of life for marginalized communities and tries to promote social cohesion. For example, microfinance programs. These programs empower women and small scale entrepreneurs in developing countries, therefore, lifting them out of poverty and promote economic growth in the country. Sustainable development also promotes economic growth that is environmentally sustainable and socially inclusive. By investing in green technologies, sustainable infrastructure, and sustainable business practices, we can stimulate economic development while minimizing negative impacts on the environment and society. For example, the circular economy model. It encourages resource efficiency and waste reduction. So it can lead to cost savings for businesses and can lead to creating new job opportunities in the recycling and renewable energy sector. So, dear students, we can say that sustainable development is essential for safeguarding the planet's resources, for protecting the environment, for protecting the social equity, and for promoting economic prosperity. By embracing sustainable development principles and practices, we can create a more sustainable and prosperous future for generations to come. Dear students, now we are going to understand the origin, the evolution of this concept that is sustainable development. Sustainable development has evolved over time in response to various environmental, social, and economic challenges. Understanding its historical context provides insights into the origins and development of this concept. The roots of sustainable development can be traced back to early environmental movements and concerns about resource depletion and pollution. In the late 19th and early 20th century, visionaries like John Muir, Rachel Carson, uh, raised awareness about the importance of conserving nature and preserving biodiversity. Dear students, in the mid 20th century, there was the emergence of environmental conservation policies in response to growing concerns about pollution and habitat destruction. Key milestones include the establishment of national parks, wildlife reserves, and environmental protection agencies in various countries. Dear students, however, it was only in 1960 and 1970s when there was a rise of modern environmental movement, which was triggered by events such as the publication of Rachel Carson's Silent Spring and the first Earth Day in 1970. Environmental activism led to the passage of landmark legislation like the Clean Air, Clean Water Act and Endangered Species Act in the United States. Dear students, the most important development in case of sustainable development is the Brundtland Report. In 1987, the World Commission on Environment and Development, chaired by Harlem Brundtland, released the Brundtland Report, also known as Our Common Future. This report defined sustainable development as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Dear students, in 1992 Earth Summit, which is also known as the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, which was held in Brazil, marked a significant milestone in the global sustainable development agenda. This summit resulted in the adoption of Agenda 21. This Agenda 21 is a comprehensive plan of action for sustainable development, and this summit's declaration on environment and development, which outlined the principles for integrating environmental protection and socio-economic development. Their students in 2000 world leaders gather at the United Nations Millennium Summit and adopted the Millennium Declaration, which included 8 Millennium Development Goals. And these goals aimed at addressing poverty, hunger, disease, gender inequality, and environmental sustainability by 2050. So, building upon the Millennium Development Goals, the international community adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development in 2015, which includes 17 Sustainable Development Goals and 169 targets. These Sustainable Development Goals cover a wide range of issues like poverty, hunger, health, education, gender equality, clean water, sustainable cities, climate action, and biodiversity conservation. Since the adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals, governments, international organizations, businesses, civil society, and individuals have been working together to implement the Sustainable Development initiatives and achieve the goals by 2030. However, ongoing challenges such as climate change, biodiversity loss, inequality, and poverty require sustained efforts and global cooperation to address them effectively. So this is how the concept of sustainable development originated. Now we are going to have a look at the key international agreements and declarations in sustainable development. The first important international agreement is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, an international treaty aimed at stabilizing greenhouse gas concentrations in the atmosphere to prevent dangerous anthropogenic interference with the climate system. The treaty provides the framework for annual conference of the parties where countries negotiate and agree on measures to address climate change, therefore leading to agreements such as Kyoto Protocol and the Paris Agreement. Kyoto Protocol is another international treaty under this United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change that legally binds developed countries to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. It established binding emission reduction targets for developed countries and introduced mechanisms such as emission trading and clean development projects to help countries to meet their targets. Another landmark international treaty which came under this United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is Paris Agreement. Paris Agreement aims to limit global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius. It sets out national targets for reducing greenhouse gas emissions and requires countries to regularly report on their progress towards meeting these targets. Then there was another important international treaty, that is Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ocean. This Montreal Protocol is an international treaty aimed at phasing out the production and consumption of ozone depleting substances such as chlorofluorocarbons. It has been highly successful in protecting the ozone layer and reducing the production of chlorofluorocarbons, therefore contributing to the recovery of the ozone layer and mitigating climate change. Then there was Convention on Biological Diversity. This Convention on Biological Diversity is again an international treaty aimed at conserving biodiversity, promoting sustainable use of biological resources, and ensuring the fair and equitable sharing of benefits derived from various resources. It sets out principles and objectives for the conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity and provides a framework for international cooperation in biodiversity conservation. Agenda 21. Agenda 21, dear students, is a comprehensive plan of action for sustainable development. It was adopted at the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development in Brazil. It outlines strategies and measures for promoting sustainable development in areas such as poverty alleviation, environmental protection, and sustainable consumption and production. 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The recent treaty on the sustainable development is this 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It is a global action plan adopted by the all United Nations member states in 2015. It includes 17 sustainable development goals aimed at addressing poverty, hunger, health, education, gender equality, clean water, sustainable cities, climate action, and biodiversity conservation by 2030. These, dear students, these key international agreements, international declarations play a very critical role in shaping global efforts to address environmental, social, and economic challenges and promote sustainable development worldwide. Now we are going to discuss that how sustainable development contributes to peace. Dear students, there is a very close relationship between sustainable development and peace. Though this relationship is complex, but still it is obvious from our next discussion that sustainable development contributes to peace in many ways. For example, sustainable development addresses the root causes of conflict by tackling issues such as poverty, inequality, and social exclusion. By promoting economic opportunities, social cohesion, and inclusive governance, sustainable development reduces the risks of conflicts that can lead to violence. Sustainable development also promotes peace building and conflict resolution efforts by addressing the underlying drivers of conflict, such as resource scarcity, competition over resources, and social marginalization. By promoting dialogue, reconciliation, and cooperation, sustainable development contributes to building peaceful societies. Environmental sustainability. Their students' environmental degradation and resource scarcity has increased conflicts over land, water, and other natural resources. Sustainable development, as you know, promotes environmental sustainability by promoting conservation, sustainable resource management, and climate resilience. Therefore, reduce tensions and conflicts which are related to the environmental degradation. This sustainable development also promotes social inclusion and equity by ensuring that all individuals have access to basic needs such as education, healthcare, and livelihood opportunities. By reducing disparities and by promoting social justice, sustainable development promotes social cohesion and reduces the likelihood of social unrest and conflict. Dear students, this sustainable development also strengthens institutions and governance structures, therefore, enhance their capacity to manage conflicts peacefully, uphold the rule of law, and promote inclusive decision making. By building strong institutions and by promoting good governance, sustainable development contributes to peace and stability. Sustainable development also enhances human security by addressing threats to individuals' safety, individuals' well being, and dignity, by promoting economic empowerment, access to health care, and social protection. Sustainable development reduces vulnerabilities and strengthens resilience to shocks and crises, therefore contribute to peace and stability. Dear students, many of the sustainable development goals, such as those related to poverty eradication, education, health, gender equality, and environmental sustainability, are interconnected with peace building and conflict prevention efforts. Achieving these goals contributes to building peaceful, inclusive, and resilient societies. So, dear students, sustainable development and peace are close with each other. With sustainable development contributing to peace building, conflict prevention, and environmental sustainability, while peace provides the enabling conditions for sustainable development to thrive. By addressing the root causes of conflict, promoting social inclusion and equity, and fostering environmental sustainability and resilience, sustainable development lays the foundation for peaceful and prosperous societies. Similarly, peace creates a conducive environment for sustainable development to flourish, enabling communities to thrive and prosper in harmony. Therefore, advancing both sustainable development and peace is essential for building a more just, equitable, and sustainable world for present and future generations. So, dear students, in today's lesson, we have seen that the relationship between sustainable development and peace is symbiotic, with each concept reinforcing the other. Sustainable development contributes to peace by addressing root causes of conflict, by promoting social inclusion, environmental sustainability, and resilient and strong institutions. In contrast, peace enables sustainable development by providing the conditions for economic prosperity, social cohesion, and environmental protection. Therefore, advancing both sustainable development and peace is essential for building a more just, equitable, and prosperous world for the present generation as well as for the future generation. Thank you.